Welcome, welcome. I did not have my mic first. I tried to do a very cool intro. Oh crap, forgot my mic. All right, finally. All right, thank you so much for getting in there as we're getting some stuff fixed up. Alrighty. Um, we have been spending some time discussing and processing pretty much just like everything that has to do with not gender ideology. Sorry, my brain is just thinking of those everything that has to do legal um the legal language of Trump's executive order regarding transgender people. And yeah, hold on. Let's actually start recording. In case this goes badly, I have a backup. Right. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to be continuing our conversation on the what are those executive orders that the president just signed yesterday. Today's the 21st. The 20th was the election day. Right into it. I spent a lot of time. We were talking earlier this morning, talking about how, in my opinion, it feels like we definitely had to make enough noise for them to be doing something about this. So I feel proud of diverse people for making attention. It is just unfortunate that bigotry has led people to move in the direction rather than understanding what are we gonna do. That's all we've got right now. Thank you for showing up here. If you're here, make sure you not double tap, like the stream, comment, let me know that you're here. Oh, so we've been talking about this stuff. It was talking about gender ideology, all the definitions, what sex is actually supposed to mean. We're going to go very, very clearly back to, this understanding of sex that apparently disappeared, which in my opinion, that never went anywhere. We have been successfully understanding, what sex is. We've been trying to communicate that sex and gender are different phenomena. Apparently that has not, been clear enough to people. Can you just be ignorant and kind of use this language to communicate to them understand what's going on? But yeah, here, why don't we take a look together? Why don't we take a look together? We read all of this stuff earlier. Did I? I thought whatever. Thought I highlighted it. I must have went away. Um, okay, here we are. So we've been having this kind of discussion here. These are, what are these? The policy, like specific enactments that are kind of going on now. So basically, this whole entire section 3, recognizing that women are biologically distinct from men, which is such a bizarre thing to put in law. Like, we understand those things from a scientific perspective. Um, but it's essentially about legislating bigotry against transgender people and gender diversity. Because yeah, the language is very clear. You don't want anything that's ambiguous. Everything has to clearly fit within one of these two sections, or else it's somehow threatening to me. It's somehow distressing to me. That's what we've got right now. Right. So yeah, we're moving, and I don't know what agencies they're referring to exactly, but we'll learn a little bit. Now we're in section 4. We were reading this one. We read this one as well. So I'm gonna start from section 4. We'll actually start from section 3, part 9, which I think is also pretty intense. So essentially, actually, no, let's start here really quick. Let's go back to here, because with this paragraph essentially is saying that Title VII, which basically says that those sex-based discrimination actually also refers to sexuality and gender identity. And essentially they're saying the precedent set for that, no, we're going to just ignore precedent. Which is typically how we've done things in politics before. So it's just interesting to see how things are changing. Makes me so, like I said before, I'm having a lot of emotion. trying my best to process everything as quickly as possible because I'm trying to talk about it too. Like, so it's a lot of things going. So yeah, they're considering it a misapplication of the Supreme Court's decision to also protect transgender people and kind of their right to enter spaces that women go to because transgender women are women. And stoking fear into the public and just saying, "Oh, scary man in a dressing room with a little girl," is just trying to trigger fear and disgust in people. And it works very well, by the way. Federal funds shall not be used to promote gender ideology. Each agency shall access grant conditions and preferences. Grant funds do not promote gender ideology. This to me is incredibly concerning because I did a little bit of research and noticed that like things like the Trevor Project, some LGBTQ housing organizations for receive federal funding, and if that funding goes away, that is really alarming. Essentially, any institution or like these types of agent like the Trevor Project, for example. My assumption is that if they are make the point of them being against this whole gender identity, or sorry, if they say that we are a part of this gender identity thing and we're not going to give that up, is the government then going to say, well, unless you believe what we believe, we're not going to fund you anymore? Pretty intense. Pretty intense. Wow, so scary. Really scary stuff. All right. The Attorney General and Secretary. So this is Section 4 is privacy and intimate spaces. The Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security shall ensure that males are not detained in women's prisons or housed in women's detention centers, including through amendment as necessary of part of 115.41 of Title 28 Code of Federal Regulations and the interpretation guidance regarding the Americans with Disabilities. Oh, very interesting. So I think that my assumption is maybe that they use something within the Disabilities Act to get allow or maybe to create some type of legal permission for transgender people to access the prison of their like a gender, like the prison of their gender, not necessarily their sex. Um, but yeah, that's gonna go away. And like I said before, this oftentimes means isolation and disconnection from other people. Spending a lot of time in solitary confinement. That's what I was. Solitary confinement. Part B says the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development shall prepare and submit for notice and commitment rulemaking policy to rescind the final rule entitled Equal Access in Accordance with an Individual's Gender Identity in Community Planning and Development Programs of September 21st, 2016, and shall submit for public comment a policy protecting women seeking single-sex rape shelters. Yeah. And for example, like, I don't know, I'm not necessarily like opposed to those places existing necessarily, but that's all I really say about that. Um, the Attorney General shall ensure that the Bureau of Prisons revises its policies concerning medical care. Fuck. Fuck. Sorry. This is really not good. Because guys, sometimes people like, yeah, I know that we sometimes think about like, oh, someone's in prison because they were a violent criminal and they don't deserve anything good. I understand that that's what's going on. We also have to understand that we're a country that has like we have for-profit prisons. We have quotas to meet for people who are in these prisons. Sometimes people are just thrown in prison for very, very minimal things. Have parking tickets. You have all these parking tickets, and maybe you get stopped by a cop, and you give him an attitude, and that gives you enough to get arrested and taken in because of the unpaid tickets, for example. These aren't violent people. There's sometimes people who are poor. Sometimes people who are just maybe they have mental illness, and so like they have lost track of different types of things. Perhaps they're sex workers, and that's why they. Um, but we're saying that this is this has already been ruled in the past as cruel and unusual punishment to withhold medical treatment from prisoners. I have a lot of concern because if they can start to remove rights from prisoners, to say, you guys, kind of where it is, like everyone has the right to freedom and to not be enslaved unless you're in prison. Then you have the right to, which I think is crazy. But and I wonder how many of these things they might extend to the general public in the future. Um, that's crazy to me. No federal funds are expended for any medical procedure, treatment, or drug for the purpose of conforming an inmate's appearance to that of the opposite sex. Wow. Agencies shall effectuate this policy by taking appropriate action to ensure that intimate spaces designated for women, girls, or females are designated by sex on identity. And I don't know. I kind of want to Google to see, like, what are you talking about when you say agency? Um, okay. Okay, some different types of okay, some type like departments, like the CIA. I'm assuming that this is maybe just this might be narrowed to perhaps like federal buildings, like if they had gender inclusive bathrooms or something, federal buildings or something, they might have to get rid of those, which is a little bit wild. I'm not exactly sure how far this stuff goes exactly, but I'm trying my best to understand the language, define it for you guys as well. We're learning together. All right. I'm really nervous, guys. I'm really trying to see. Okay, so far I'm not seeing anything about medical things, but let's see what's going on here. All right. Section 5, protecting rights. The attorney general shall issue guidance to ensure the freedom to express the binary nature of sex. What? Who? I'm sorry, guys. Who? Please tell me. Please tell me who. Who has been not allowed to live and to be their designated sex? That has never occurred. I really have a hard time believing that for even a second. Wow. Wow. I'm really shocked actually. Right. The freedom to express the binary nature of sex and the right to single sex spaces and workplaces and federally funded entities covered by the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In accordance with that guidance, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Labor, the General Counsel, and yikes, of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and each other agency head with enforcement responsibilities under the Civil Rights Act shall prioritize investigations. Oh my God. In litigation to enforce the rights and freedoms identified. Wow. This is a little bit nerve wracking. I don't exactly know all of what that means, but it might mean that like we're gonna do stuff to we might legally like make or certain workplaces can get in trouble, or if they're federally funded entities, they can get in trouble because if they don't, comply. This is fascism, guys. By the way, yeah, this is fascism. So, in case you're wondering, this is where we're at. Bill text within 30 days of this order, the assistant to the president for the legislative affairs shall present to the president proposed bill of text to codify the definitions in this order. Agency implementation and reporting within 120 days of this order, each agency head shall submit an update on implementation of this order to the president through the director of the office management and budget, and the update shall address changes to agency documents, including regulations, guidance, forms, and communications made to comply with this order. Agency imposed requirements on federally funded entities, including contractors, to achieve the policy of this order. I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding all of this stuff, but it's a little bit legalese for me. The requirements of this order supersede conflicting provisions in any previous executive orders or presidential memoranda, including to, but not limited to, executive orders. Wow. 13988 of January 20th, 2021. So all of Biden's executive orders that were done to protect people like transgender people, he's erasing all of those. He's essentially saying that these executive orders erase all of that. Um, each agency, each agency shall, each agency head shall promptly rescind all guidance documents inconsistent with the requirements. Oh my God. Of this order or the Attorney General's guidance issued pursuant to this order, or rescind such parts of the documents that are inconsistent in such manner. So essentially, these are like all of the things that we have done to help spread gender inclusivity generally. And I'm guessing maybe these things have been either funded by the government in some way or been distributed in a way that's been funded by the government. Let's read what a couple of these are. The White House Toolkit on Gender Identity or Transgender Equality, the Department of Education's guidance documents, including Title IX or 2004 Title IX regulations, pointers for implementations, U.S. Department of Education Toolkit, creating inclusive, wow, non-discriminatory school environments for LGBTQI students. Guys, you understand what they're doing. The language is saying this is to protect women. But what in practice is saying, let's also stop the protection of LGBTQ plus students generally. This is harming LGBTQ plus students generally, not just some of them, not just a little bit of them, a lot of them, all of them. People are really struggling here. Ugh. So, supporting LGBTQI students. This is a Spanish version of it, supporting intersex students. Guys, this is what's fucked up to me too. Like, intersex people can't even have a spot. That's how you know it's not about actually protecting anybody. Because they're intersex women, for example. We're not protecting them. Protecting the status quo. We're protecting cis heteronormativity. We're protecting the capitalist mode of production. Not that hard to understand. Also, if you're here, please like the stream or like the video, wherever you're at. Thank you. Appreciate it. And check the description for other little fun things that you might want to engage. So letter to educators on Title IX's 49th anniversary. Wow. Just so frustrating. I don't even want to read this stuff anymore. I'm really upsetting. Weird. Like education in a pandemic. Like why is that? That's not relate. How is that related to gender? I don't know. Very interesting. So we're basically going to get rid of any type of paperwork that gives people information on how to help support trans. Wow. All right, general provisions. Um, yeah, see this one too. Sorry, workplace harassment is just it's so frustrating. Okay, nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency, the head thereof, the functions of the director of the Office of Management and Budgetary Administration. These orders shall be implemented consistent with applicable law, subject to appropriations and stuff. This order is not intended to, does not create any right or benefit, substantive procedural enforcement law, a law or an equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or any other person. If any provision to this order or the application of any provision to any person or circumstance is held to be invalid, the remainder of this order and the application of its provisions to any other persons or circumstances shall not be affected there. Which I'm not exactly like what this means. Like what these provisions exactly mean. Yeah, this the end of this part was definitely a lot more legalese than my brain is capable of handling. And that is it. I honestly really wanted to come up here literally just to finish up this conversation. I really don't have anything else to say except for repeating my perspectives earlier that it is not time to be afraid. It's not time to, you know, disappear or be like, feel like you should be hiding yourself essentially. Show up. Continue being yourself. If people might feel emboldened to continue to disregard and disrespect your identity, don't let them. You know who you are. We've always been here. Our ancestors, our non-binary ancestors, queer, gender nonconforming ancestors have always been here. The message is clear. Keep fighting. Keep existing. That's all we've got right now. Please let me know your thoughts. Please let me know how you're navigating this. I mentioned that, dealing with a lot of intense emotion about this. Like, this very much impacts me. This year, I finally completed all of my legal documentation for my medical transition, or my legal transition at least. I got my license changed, I got my passport changed, everything is updated. But that's gonna have to go back, likely, probably the next time I change my license. It has already been happening. I've been seeing it on some of the subreddits. People are navigating this and dealing with this, or they're having their IDs be changed back to other people. Not they're having their IDs not changed back to other people. They're having their IDs changed back to their birth sex. This is already happening, and this is a big bummer. Um, thankfully, getting through this entire chat or this entire language of this document, I did not see anything that kind of impacts the medical transition of transgender adults. I didn't necessarily see anything about like birth certificates getting changed. It was more about legal documentation, like legal IDs kind of a thing. So there might be some loopholes you guys might be able to navigate, but I would do if you are questioning getting your name changed, getting your gender marker updated or whatever, do that shit now, like immediately. See what you're able to do. Because yeah, things are probably going to get a lot harder. This is really hard, bad. Um, but all we can do is hope. I said that's a lie. Hoping is one thing. We can get up, continue to work, build community with other transgender people, other gender nonconforming people, make connections, make yourself seen, make yourself heard, make your voices known. Um, we are a lot less powerful when we are alone and isolated, sad on our own. We're a lot more powerful when we are sad together, honestly. That's why I run the support group that I run. We're going to meet next Tuesday for the first time of the year, the first meeting in January coming up, the 28th. So if you are Black and you are trans, please come and join. I've been thinking about perhaps extending it to Black, trans, and gender nonconforming people, just because of the way that shit is shifting. But we'll see. If there are any Black gender nonconforming people who are interested, please push me in that direction. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for being here. Please like this stream if you have not already, and leave a comment just letting me know some of your thoughts about this topic, or just send me an emoji, the barf emoji. Like that might be good. That might communicate all day. Um, Engaging with this content helps it get spread around. Share this video with other people if you find it helpful. But we'll be back together as soon as we have more to update each other on. If you want to join my Discord server, you can always also let me know, like, hey Mav, I saw this article. You should review it in a stream, and I'll take care of it. So this stuff is better with you guys. So thank you again for being here to support me just by your existence. I'm mentally exhausted. I'm tired. I need some space emotionally to just, I don't know, stare at the wall blankly for a little bit, and then we'll see what happens next. Thanks again, my friends. We will talk soon.